the purpose of a school? Why do we go to school? Is it to teach children how to read and write well? How to solve difficult math problems? Is it to teach them about the history of our country? Ultimately, it's just to give children an education. But a school can be more than just an education. Maybe a school should teach you why God is important, how important friends and family are. A school might teach you how to sing and dance in a musical, or maybe even survive in the wilderness. A school should teach you how to become a good listener and also a good leader. A school should teach you life lessons and prepare you for the future. But most importantly, a school should be filled with people who care about you and constantly challenge you to do your best. I think I speak for everyone when I say that the Episcopal Day School is all of these things and more. Our chapel would often start off with Mr. Walker greeting us with a good morning. Mr. Walker's famous phrase. Everyone would be tired from the week and not really say much back. But then things would change when he'd say, "That was not a wake me up good morning. Could I get a wake me up good morning, please?" And then everyone would practically scream good morning to him. As my classmates and I would arrive at school, we would also be greeted by a good morning. The times I did not make it to school early, the times I did make it to school early, which was most of the time thanks to Billy, I would always hear Mr. Walker say good morning to pretty much about every student that was at the school. He would always use names like, "Good morning, Mr. Rody, how are you doing today, sir?" Half asleep, I'd do my best to mumble out good morning to him. I would sometimes say, "Good, how are you?" He would say, "I am doing well." Every time he would say this, I realized it was more proper to say I'm doing well. So now when someone asks me how I'm doing, I always say that I'm doing well. I don't know if he knew he taught me this, but the little things like this helped improve my grammar. I'm sure that my classmates have stories like this too. Mr. Walker is just one example of a strong leader in our school. Leadership is a big theme in EDS, and it makes sense because we have so many leaders. We have unbelievable teachers from 3s all the way to 8th grade. When I came to EDS in 2nd grade, one of the first people I was introduced to was Mrs. Scroggs. I was told that she was an old family friend and to go to her if I needed anything. My first day at EDS, and I already knew a teacher who taught the 3-year-olds. That shows a lot about a school. As our class progressed through lower school and then on to middle school, my friends and I began to know more and more teachers on a personal level. It's an interesting thing to pass one of your old lower school teachers in the hallway and to be able to have a conversation with that person about the fun times you had when you were in lower school. Lower school at EDS was great. When we entered middle school, however, things changed. 6th grade was a big stepping stone for our class. We were now middle schoolers. It was exciting. At first, I don't think anyone knew what to expect. We now had advisors instead of homeroom teachers. We switched classes every period. And we had a brand new locker, and we were given much more responsibility. Our 6th grade year was awesome, and we had many great memories. By the way, Valerie, the answer is not a buffalo. 7th grade went by fast. Sports were great that year. We won our 2nd basketball championship, and our first football team ever was started. That year we learned new things and expanded our knowledge on what we had learned in 6th grade. Then we finally finished 7th grade and moved on to become the seniors of the school in 8th grade. 8th grade by far is definitely our best year. We had our 3rd basketball championship. The girls won their basketball championship. Boys and girls also won their varsity soccer championships. Football had a fun season, and so did baseball. It's an understatement to say that we were by far the most athletic grade. I don't know what EDS is going to do with that this next year. We learned so many things, both academically and morally. But to start out our year, we went on an amazing trip called Outward Bound. Outward Bound played a big role in how our class became so close this year. My classmates and I had some unforgettable moments together in the Linville Gorge Mountains in North Carolina. The Outward Bound guides were great. Most of the time, Outward Bound instructors were great. Most of the time, my classmates and I learned a lot of things from them. We played team building exercises the first day of Outward Bound. We did pretty well, but we could have done much better. We should have done these exercises the last day too. I'm sure that we would have found that all of us would do substantially better. My most memorable moment on Outward Bound would have to be the hike to the area where we were going to go rock climbing. The place was called the Chimneys, I guess because it had a chimney-looking thing in the middle of the rocks. The hike wasn't too long. It was about a mile or two, and we didn't have those dang 70-pound packs to weigh us down, so that was good. We walked away from our campsite through a trail in the woods. It was a cool trail. Things got even better as it began to open up. As we were walking, on our left was about a 400-foot fall, and on our right was about a 600-foot fall, according to Bernie, our instructor. As many classmates and I looked forward, we saw people way off in the distance on the top of the mountain. It looked like ants. I remember Brent asking, "Are we going over there?" And Bernie was like, "Yep." I had no clue how we were going to get over there because from the angle my friends and I were, it looked as if the mountains were separate. I began to get excited. We were standing in the place where they filmed The Last of the Mohicans and were about to walk over to a place that I had no idea how we were going to get to, and then go rock climbing on the edge of a 600-foot cliff. I had no idea what The Last of the Mohicans was about, but it sounded pretty cool. We were getting closer to the rock climbing site. As we were approaching the rock climbing site, we had to walk on a pretty shabby, narrow trail with a 600-foot fall to our right, the mountain to our left. At this moment I realized, wow, they really trust us. I thought EDS would never let us do something like this. We finally got to the rock wall, which turned out to be awesome. We learned how to belay people and how to spot and the different signals before we started climbing. I remember climbing up the hard natural rock. As I approached the top, I looked out and saw one of the prettiest sights I had ever seen, followed by Mr. Murray saying, "Good job," and looking over the horizon with me. It was an incredible moment, and I will never forget it. Mr. Murray said something like, "Stephen, this is one of the reasons we do this trip." I hope that the rising 8th graders will have as good as an experience as us. The Episcopal Day School isn't just a school, it's also a place of worship. That alone sets us apart from most other schools. Aside from chapel at EDS, we also have religion 3 times a week. Mr. Adams taught us about the Old and New Testaments in 6th and 7th grade. He could often ramble on about the connections between Narnia and the Bible. He was also our leadership teacher for 2 years. Father Sawyer is our current religion teacher. This year we have studied everything from philosophy to media literacy. In media literacy, we've learned how to analyze and criticize everything from Bart Simpson getting beat up to outrageous Barbie commercials. Father Sawyer, with his Canadian accent, made class interesting and had a funny way of explaining and saying things. He would often remind us to tuck our shirts in. Our first offense would result in a warning for the week, but if we did it a second time, I quote, he would boom us with a demerit. The Episcopal Day School is more than just a place to go to school. It is a place that prepares you for the future. EDS is filled with kind people who care about your success in life and do a good job of helping you prepare for it by constantly challenging you. Going to EDS is kind of like building your house on a rock. It may take more time and you might have to put more effort into it, but with great effort you get a foundation. One that will last you through bad weather and storms, but one that you can also thoroughly enjoy when good weather comes. As we go off to different high schools and part ways, EDS, our foundation, will always be